Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and Bastion has been wreaking havoc in X-Men 97. Not that kind of havoc, a different kind of havoc. Though none of this is surprising, as the man led the charge to exterminating mutants in the comics. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes launching your own website a breeze. If you're like me and the reveal of Bastion made you go, huh, this guy? This video is just for you. Bastion may look weak, but as we learn, this man is the byproduct of Nimrod slithering into his dad's ear, turning him into a human host. So in this video, I'll be explaining what exactly Bastion's origins are and how they align in the comics to what we can see him doing over the next 2 episodes of X-Men 97. Let's just call this a Bastion explained video. Also a warning, because the comics could potentially spoil future episodes of X-Men 97, so if you don't want those possible spoilers, click away. But if you do want them, then stay. But first, real quick, before we move on, nerdriot.shop has a special line of Star Wars shirts coming out for May the 4th. We have a ton of great custom designs showing off Imperial helmets, Padme, and Ewok snapback hat, and so many more. Click the link in the description below or head to nerdriot.shop to get your May the 4th Star Wars merch today. If you sign up for our mailing list, then every purchase enters you into a contest to win a replica lightsaber from an Onasaber. How do I get one? Do I have to sign up? Or maybe I'll just steal yours. So firstly, who is Bastion? Physically, Bastion is the amalgamation of like a hybrid of a machine and a human. So to me, he's not really a mutant, though Master Mo tells him this.
You shall be the most powerful mutant alive.
So he very well could be in the series. This line could have also been a past memory from Nimrod or Master Mold. And I remember in the first X-Men movie, they said the X gene was commonly passed through the father's DNA. So if the janitor's DNA harboring the X gene was spliced with Nimrod's, we could be looking at a machine-human mutant hybrid for the series. We see Bastion's dad, a school janitor, was infected by Nimrod. He slithered into his ear like the aliens in the faculty did, like it came out of his tongue into his ear. I don't like this. Erik explained in episode 8's breakdown how the X-Men fought Nimrod in 1959 in one man's worth, and whenever they broke apart this android body, it would crawl itself back together. So him slithering over to Bastion's dad and using him as a human host is gross. But okay. Gina explains he's the descendant of every Sentinel from Master Mold to Nimrod, mutated, evolved, born, which is true for both the series and the comics, though it's much more complicated in the comics. Master Mold, a Sentinel that can make other Sentinels, absorbed Nimrod, a highly advanced mutant-killing robot from the future, in Uncanny X-Men issue number 333. The X-Men pushed them through a portal called the Siege Perilous. The Siege Perilous basically offers you a new life and a new existence. It was a gift given to the X-Men if they ever got tired of just like being heroes. And by strange means, shoving Nimrod, Master Mold through the portal delivered us Bastion, the fusion. Very human looking, yet still harboring cybernetic powers. That's not really playing out here. In X-Men 97, we see he's given the life through basic human reproduction, which I love because it makes him even more human. I just really like that it highlights his purpose of ridding the world of mutants because he believes they're bad for humanity, when he, like a very human Sentinel sort of hybrid, is actively the cause and effect of humanity's downfall. Humanity can't evolve without, energy and nature, of course, but more importantly, human collectiveness. We pose more threats and issues to ourselves that need to be solved as a collective in order to grow and survive. And Bastion is arguably taking that philosophy and drop kicking it off the Empire State Building. His destruction will lead to an all-out war with all of us. Like Cooper said,
you said you were building a new Sentinel, not weaponizing civilians.
You sound like a dinosaur fretting the fate of an asteroid before impact.
I'm more concerned you're the asteroid.
And where's the humanity in that? In the comics, Bastion didn't immediately have recollections of wanting to kill mutants, and in the series, we see that wasn't immediate either. He was just a little Bastion trying to overcome his mutant abilities. However, it's not explicitly said what physically makes him switch when he's in his mom's arms. We know a lot of mutant powers come during puberty, and if his powers as a mutant were manifesting and his shared DNA with Nimrod was looming, the preconceived goal of exterminating mutants from Nimrod could have been dormant and woken up by his mutant powers emerging. Him just like being the thing he's trying to eradicate is just too deep and too dark for me. Get some therapy. There's also a chance his abilities led him to speak to Nimrod or hear the voices of his past life as Nimrod. This eventually colonized Bastion's values and beliefs, thus creating the anti-mutant Bastion himself. While the series really did a deep-rooted being awakening inside of you, in the comics it was more like, look how easily influenced and impressionable we all are. He didn't know he was the fusion of Master Mold and Nimrod, though the media and the news, he just started reading and believing mutants were dangerous, inevitably the annihilation of humankind. He made friends with other anti-mutant weirdos, which helped further his agenda, and after a long time of watching humans be weak and feeble, he took it upon himself to turn civilians into prime sentinels to kill mutants, aka Operation Zero Tolerance, a war that would establish humans as superior. Operation Zero Tolerance was a plan Bastion initiated that would kill all mutants legally. However, the government really wasn't for it. The main focus is that Bastion would turn regular civilians into Sentinel sleeper agents like we're seeing in X-Men 97. You get one chance to make a first impression, and if you're running a website, that means you need a professional looking website. And lucky for you, that's super easy to do thanks to Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one all-in-one platform that provides you with everything you need to do whatever you need with your website. Squarespace has a massive asset library with everything you could possibly need, whether you're building your first website or polishing up on one you already got. Squarespace makes it super easy to customize your look, update content, and add features to make your website work exactly the way you want it to. For instance, Squarespace makes it easy to sell merch. You can design your product and save time and money by letting Squarespace handle production, inventory, and shipping. And if you're selling any other kind of physical goods, digital goods, or even a service, Squarespace makes it easy to build your storefront and grow your business. Just head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/newrockstars to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. In the comics, after the events of Onslaught, where Xavier uses telepathic abilities on Magneto to shut down his mind, but instead accidentally absorbed Magneto's hatred, grief, and intense emotion towards humans, that combined with Xavier reaching his limit on everyone's attitude towards mutants birthed Onslaught. Graydon Creed, who was a big part of the anti-mutant agenda and backed Operation Zero Tolerance, used the fear of Onslaught to further the OZT agenda. He would remind people that Onslaught was a mutant who killed the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, along with so many humans. When Creed was running for president and was assassinated, civilians immediately accused mutants of doing it since he ran an anti-mutant agenda. We see this in X-Men 97 when Bastion mentions the chat rooms of people sharing their shared hatred, either losing their jobs or being injured by mutants, which fuels their hate mutant flame. Like in Watchmen, you need a common enemy, and once you control that idea, you can move the pieces however you want. Here we see Bastion making enemies out of the mutants in the public eye, which can gain him civic and political help. Let's not forget, Magneto just sent a massive EMP that probably killed a lot of people, and these Sentinels can easily be mistaken for mutants by regular civilians and push more of that anti-mutant ideas. Bastion also captured Jubilee in the comic books and tortured her to tell her how to get information on Xavier's protocols. Xavier's protocols was a file with over 200 entries on killing each X-Man, their weaknesses, swift ways to kill them, and all their information. Even the danger room schematics, so you knew how they'd fight. That's insane. This situation could be happening right now, just differently. In episode 7, Bastion says Trask fighting the X-Men gave them tactical data for his real masterpiece. So using that information from Trask fighting the X-Men, he's able to upgrade his new human Sentinels that could actually win. Bastion overall is ruthless and maniacal. He's very smart and very calculated. Everything he's been doing in the shadows, but he's been there the whole time. In episode 1, we saw the drawing Bastion did of the X-Mansion. It was during Madeline's vision when she was scanning Gyric's mind. This tells us he's been the mastermind the entire time. In episode 2, he's seen seated next to Val with other generals. As I mentioned in the comics, OZT had some ties to the government when trying to be legal, so this already shows he's had a hand in our government's ideas. In episode 4, we see a picture of him with Forge during his army days, which could imply that Bastion learned some of his technological ideas, or that prototype gun that Forge made was an idea birthed by Bastion, just executed by Forge. Beau DeMayo even mentioned he's been manipulating things all along, and thus has been in every episode except for episode 3. Can you find him? So he doesn't have to be as scary, as sinister, and he doesn't have to be the master mold, and he's just playing the slow game of being an evil genius. This could also lead us to Onslaught and the merging of Xavier and Magneto's minds, which could be Bastion's actual masterpiece. The reason Xavier even did that to begin with was because Magneto ripped out Wolverine's adamantium, which I think is too sick, too disgusting to see for this show. I don't think we'd see it, but maybe that's what causes them to lose their mind. There's also a comic line where Cable is recounting what Bastion did and what he's about, which could further us using Cable's knowledge of the future and Bastion in the present to stop him overall. If Genosha is an absolute point, there's still room for Cable to stop the Prime Sentinels. Bastion is also just a sick man, and I could see him using Gambit's dead body to his advantage. I really hope not, but watch him use Gambit to fight the X-Men. Ultimately, playing chess and using humans and mutants as your pawns to battle it out for you is a great villain in my book. It's what I loved about Zemo in Civil War. Let me know how you think about Bastion's big plan overall, and if you even like him, if he's a good villain for you. Follow me at Lulu_Clemons. Subscribe to all 3 channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.